this is Edwin from Ocean Engineering Inc. And today we are going to talk about the object generator, which is a wonderful tool to improve productivity in creating your finite element model. Let's see the features of this tool. To begin with object generator, we are going to go to the automation tab and then select the object generator button. Now at the right we have the mechanical application wizard with the object generator selected. Now we are going to select the object we want to copy. In this example I'm going to use this face sizing mesh control, which is applied to this internal face. Then we can see this is already applied to the object generator wizard. Then we need to select some geometries to apply the new copies of this object. For example, I'm gonna select some additional faces, for example this one and this one, these two faces, and I'm gonna click on generate to create these new face sizing mesh controls. We can see now in the 3 we have applied a new object here and a new one there. We have these new 2 objects that will be useful to create this mesh control. Now I'm gonna delete them, okay, and I'm gonna use another option again with the face sizing control. I'm gonna use, for example, the option name selection. I have 2 name selection in my model. You can see this is one and this is another one on the other side. And I'm gonna select again my face sizing mesh control, but I'm gonna select, for example, this NS01, which is the name selection from this side, and then click on generate. Now we have again 3 new controls, but they are applied to the elements of the name selection, which is very interesting because we can see just using one click we can create copies of all these elements. Now I'm gonna use another example here. Let's delete this. Okay, now for example we can again, using the same object and keeping the current selection, we are gonna explore now these scope 2 options. We have 3 options here. We have each entity, we have adjacent entities, and all entities by part. For example, the first one, each entity will create one copy of the template object for each selection I've made in my screen. For example, I can do 1, 2, and 3 objects. I'm gonna select this one, which is adjacent to the first one. Then I have selected 4 faces, and I'm gonna click on generate. Now using the option each entity, I have 4 mesh controls, one on this face, one here, but these 2 last, we can see they are 2 independent controls even if the surfaces are adjacent. This is the effect of each entity options. Now again we can create a new one using the same options but changing to adjacent entities, and I'm gonna select these 3 faces and click on generate. Now I have 2 controls, one applied to these 2 adjacent faces grouped in just one control, and this second one in this independent face. This is no adjacent, there is no adjacent faces here, and then we just created one copy of the mesh control here. The last option is using all entities by part. Let's delete these 2 already created, and again using the same example we are gonna select some entities in each part. For example, this face, this one, this one, this one, and this one. We have 5 faces selected here. Now we're gonna just click on generate, and we have just 2 controls, one applied on all the faces from one part, and the other the same thing but in the other part. This is the way that the all entity by part option works. It's interesting because we can group our controls as we need it. Now let's see another feature here using the object generator. We are going to copy this remote point. You can see here we have a remote point attached to this inner surface in our geometry, and we are going to copy it to create a different one. For example, I have selected the remote point from the 3, and I can see it here in the object generator, and I'm gonna use this feature named relocate. This one means that if we are selecting a new geometry, we can relocate the remote point at the centroid of this new geometry or keep the original one. Let's see how it works. For example, I am gonna use this face and this new face, and I'm gonna create using, for example, each entity. I'm gonna generate using this relocate on. Then I click on generate, and I can see each one of them has overridden the remote point position to the centroid of the geometry. Now I can delete them. Okay, and I am gonna use the same thing but deleting this check mark. Then I'm gonna select the same faces and generate again. Now we can see both of them keep the original remote point position, and this is how we can control the behavior of this kind of scoping objects that works in that way. We can keep the position, the original position, or we can relocate it at the centroid of each one of them. Let's see what's happened when we want to copy an additional object that has two geometry definitions. For example, a connector. Let's see, we have here a circular connector between these two faces. We have a mobile site marked in blue and a reference site marked in red. This is how we are going to define our new connectors. We need to define these both faces for each one of the new elements. And we can't just pick the geometry to create the new ones because the software will not know which one is the reference site and which one is the mobile site. That's why we need to use name selections to do so. Let's see, in the first place, let's measure the separation between these two faces. For example, I can select this one and then this one with the control key pressed and go to home, and I can activate selection information. I can read here the separation between these two faces is 14 millimeters. Okay, now let's close this panel and return to our automation tab. And knowing that, I am gonna define the one name selection for each side of our new created elements. For example, we see this side, this is the blue side. That means this is the mobile side. And the name selection at this side is this one, is the NS01, okay? Clicking again here in our circular element, I can select here the NS01 for the mobile side and the NS02 for the reference. In that way, I am gonna create these new elements. Keeping the same orientation previously defined in the original template object. And I need to define a separation. We know the separation is 14 millimeters. I can use, for example, 15 and create the elements hitting the generate button. Now you can see we have three connectors. The first one, which was already created at the beginning, and these two copies, this one and this one. As you can see, for example, here we have the mobile side, this is the blue one, at the same face side, but the reference is at the same, is sharing the side. But if For example, if I select by mistake in the opposite selection here in the name selections, I can have a different behavior. Let's delete these connectors, and I am just gonna invert this selection, and again hitting generate. Now we have 4. You can see we have 1, the original 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is the first one and the 4th. Now we can see the last created has the reference side at this side of the model, but the other one has the mobile side. That's why they are different. And this mark, the ignore original, is not working, even if we have marked this option. This is because the reference side is other side. That means the copy is not exactly the same. That's why it's not ignored, even if we marked the original ignore original mark. Let's delete that and try again. For example, we can see now if we use this guy and in the good sense and hit generate, we have 3, which is good. Now let's try what happened when I unmark this option. Again, let's clear this ignore original mark and generate. Now we have again 4, but the first and the 4th are similar because we unmark this option. This is how it works. Okay, let's clear all of them again, and now we can change the behavior of the quantity of elements we are going to create moving this value. For example, we know the separation is 14 millimeters. What happens if I use, for example, 16 millimeters and I hit generate? Now we see we have 8 connectors. This is because the end of this circle lies between this range we define here with the end of this other guy. That's why we have these diagonal connectors, which maybe are desired or not. That depends on your modeling intentions. But doing so, you can control the real behavior of this creation of connectors here. Okay, now let's delete all of them. This is everything for today. Thank you so much for watching this video.